Welcome, my dudes. If you're looking to paint grass, you could sit down and paint out every grass blade in chunks like this using an angled chisel brush or something like that, like a dinkus. Or you can think like a programmer and you can just create a tool that does this all in a couple of brush strokes. You can save yourself a tremendous amount of time so that you can spend more time playing Fortnite or whatever it is that you'd like to do. Because you got that grass blade thing all worked out. It does it automatically. So let's create a custom brush that'll save you a ton of time on all of your grass painting landscapes. So if you're following along on the progress of this, you'll recognize my asset sheet. I'm creating a compendium of assets that can be used to composite together Fortnite style landscapes. You can do this on any file though. Just create a new file and then just make sure that you've got a white background and that you're on a new layer. First, we've got to create one grass blade, and then we're going to capture that as a brush. So make sure this is on a new layer and only paint with the black on this layer, no white on this layer. You can use a normal brush tool for this, any brush, just whatever you want your grass blade to be shaped like. This could be a really fat grass blade, or it could be a lot of little narrow ones, but I would suggest just doing one grass blade. This art style that I'm going for is very stylized, so I'm going to use some very fat grass blades. Again, make sure that this layer is a normal layer and that you've only painted in the black. Do not paint white on this layer. You want to use the selection marquee to create a selection around that and then go to edit and scroll down to define brush preset. Name that mamma jamma whatever you want and then go up here to window and then brush settings. Now, as long as you still have that brush selected, you're going to see all the options. Make sure you deselect your previous selection. You'll notice that there's no spacing, so you can immediately start to space out your grass blades. The next thing you want to do is go up here to scattering. By sliding this to the right, you're going to see that it spreads them out. Every one of those grass blades is going to get scattered just a little bit. And this will just be on the default brush stroke. You can modify this however you want, but these are my settings. I've also affected the count jitter because I wanted to randomly throw in extra grass blades. Next, we go up here to shape dynamics and then go to size jitter. That's going to make it so that they randomly change in size with a normal brush stroke, so they're not all perfectly the same. The angle jitter is where the magic happens though, because that's going to make sure that every one of those grass blades is presented differently. They're going to sway in their angle. This is definitely something where you're going to have to find your own settings. I got a lot of jitter going on and variety because I wanted a lot of randomness. Obviously, you can find your own settings of how much you want it to scatter and how many little grass blades versus huge grass blades you want. But if you look on the screen right now, you'll see my settings. While you're making these adjustments, you can just start painting with it as long as you don't have something selected, and you can just make sure that you fine tune it to exactly how you want it. Keep in mind that you can select different colors and paint in over that first brush stroke. This is going to be what's going to add that depth that we were talking about. Once you're happy with it, you can go up here to these three dots and remember, very important, save new brush preset. You can name that something else if you want, but if you don't do this, then all those changes you made are going to be deleted. Then bing, bang, and a boom, you're set, ready to go. Open up your landscape painting and just select the brush that we just created. Color dab and start going to town, baby. Now this is still going to require that you understand, how to create contrast and that you're selecting values that are appropriate for the sense of depth that you want to achieve. And all that is covered in the previous lessons in this workshop. But if you followed the real-time video, you'll notice that this just took probably about 5 minutes, whereas the normal painting of grass took about 30 minutes or so. And that's already a time saver, it's massive, but what if we wanted every grass blade to have a gradient on it? That is essentially how you get that look that you see in games like Breath of the Wild and Fortnite. Well, you start by painting in your gradient. We're going to capture this into our brush. Once you have your gradient defined, you can click on the tool for the mixer brush and then pull up your brushes and select the brush that we created. And then make sure when you select that brush from that dropdown that you hold down Option and Command at the same time. This is super dumb, but you have to do it this way or else it switches back to a normal brush. Now that we have our custom grass brush and we're set on the mixer brush tool with that custom grass blade, hold down Option over the gradient that we created and that will collect that gradient, and then now we can paint with our gradient infused grass blades. Every one of these grass blades is going to have that same gradient on it. So if you color dab another pattern or another gradient, it will paint that gradient into every grass blade. Bam! It's almost too easy. It's too easy. I can't believe I get paid to do this. Obviously, you're gonna wanna use your own gradient. Obviously, you're gonna wanna do your own scattering with it and things like that. I'm gonna create a little bit of something I can color dab, I can copy and paste into my paintings. I'm gonna create something here in my templates into my assets that I can just use in every landscape painting. And I've actually found that the best combination is one where you use both. You use that mixer brush where you're capturing the gradient and you're combining that with just a normal brush that just paints opaque. For those of you who are more hardcore about painting landscapes and you've picked up my landscape workshop, then you're gonna find that there's also custom brushes in there for creating bushes, and also the grass brush, an in-depth video for both of those, as well as how to integrate them into the final painting so you can get a real view here of exactly, how you can just save tons and tons of time. If you're serious about becoming a concept artist in video games, if you're serious about becoming a digital landscape painter, if you're serious about bringing the worlds in your mind to life, this workshop is, I would say it's probably the best one I've ever done. Of course, if you've never done any kind of digital art before, or you're struggling with fundamentals and basics of how to use the tools, I really recommend that you don't pick up this workshop until after you've done the Easy Art Lessons series of workshops. The biggest mistake that a lot of artists make is that they just skip over the basics of lighting and shadow and form and even understanding the software, and they jump right ahead to something like this. And that's like saying, hey, I want to learn basketball, but I'm going to ask a pro NBA player to teach me. No, dude, just start out with like high school basketball. Learn to dribble, learn the rules of the game, learn like how to play before you go and jump into the NBA, okay? You'll get there, man. It just takes time. And those easy art lessons are designed to be fun. It's not all boring stuff. So that's it for me on this video. I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I'm here every Wednesday with more painting and digital art tips and career advice if you want to get into the game of working in video games or just being a professional digital artist. Please leave your questions in the comments section below the video, and sometimes I answer those. So until next time, I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.